because it's worth something. And we started filing lawsuits in the 80s. I started protesting in the 80s, organizing farmers in the 80s, the old way, you know, we didn't even have cell phones, man. If a black man had a cell phone in the 80s, one of them big bag phones, he was a rich man, man. Mm-hmm. So we in the landline, phone book, calling farmers, KBN Washington, December 12th, and we had a breakthrough in 96. So from 1983 to 95, 96, basically, we just out here. Nobody would, there was no such thing as a podcast. Mm-hmm. We had to rely totally on white media, Associated Press, Reuters, local news channels, and nobody would touch the issue because it was the federal government. In 1996, I went to Washington and I tied my mule to the White House gate, and my life changed. And I tied my mule to the gate at the protest, not for the mule to break in, as the headline said, some black farmers trying to break into the West. I wanted to tie my shoe. I had some wingtip boots, and I tied the mule to the gate so I could tie my shoe. And the mule bust open the gate, and it went from nothing to headline news for, I would say, for about 15 years. So I picked out in the 90s and 2005, 6, 7, and I kept protesting. And I kept lobbying Congress, and I kept suing. And I use this for anybody who's an advocate as a triangle effect. You need all branches of the government to win. You need people out there pushing, then you need the courts, and then you need Congress to act. And I used all three of those things to get $1 billion in 99, $1.25 billion in 2010, $2.2 billion in 2024. And I'm not a racist person, and I helped Hispanic farmers. I helped on that settlement. I helped on women's farmers case. I helped on a Native American farmers case, 2 Native American farmers case, for a total of $11 billion over the course of 40 years. And just like you said, many black Americans don't even know my name, and I live in some country town called Boynton, Virginia, that many of the local people don't even know my history here because they won't bother to look it up because they think about the old John Boyd, he was having a great time. Yeah. And I can see that, but every now and then, thank you for what you do. God picks different people and different periods of time period to say, you know what? You need to be a voice for your people. You need to lead your people, and it's that time. And so I want to thank you for stepping up. Thank you. Grabbing that torch and saying, you know what, man, I'm going to use this thing right here to reach a population of people that someone like me can't reach. So thank you for what you do. And I will tell you right now, you're going to have some heavy days ahead. You're going to have some hard days ahead and some dark days ahead. But don't give up. Don't worry about what people say. Because guess what? If they're talking about you, you're doing something. The minute they stop talking about you, you ain't doing nothing. Don't worry about what they say. Don't be afraid to run away from adversity. Because the person who's pushing it ain't worth you sitting there fighting. Matter of fact, don't walk away from them, run away from them so you can continue to do what you do. So I want to say that to you. And those things all together that I described made up who John Boyd was, I had a good daddy, I had a good mother, I had a good grandfather, I had a good great-grandfather, and I had some bootleg grandparents that would, without all of those things together, it made me who I am today. And, I'm proud to be who I am, proud to be from the farm. And for young people, man, don't turn your back and run away from the farm. That's where you came from. Any black person that's in this country, guess what? You're only 3 or 4 generations away from somebody's farm. Whether you want to be from that farm or not, that's where you're from. And guess what, man? I met Jimmy Carter. As a kid, man, the FFA students said, teachers said, hey, boy, you want to go to Washington and tour the White House? I said, man, I would love to go. I said, I don't have no money. You know, black people ain't have no money back then. He said, well, if you can get something your parents to go, give you a stipend. I'm green. I said, what's a stipend? I said, we gonna pay you to go and give you some food? So here I am. Man, they gave me an FFA jacket and so they with a blue jacket on and everything. And I'm going to Washington with a busload of white kids. All my boys from basketball laughing at me. Boy, what the Sam hell are you doing in the FFA, man? You'll start laughing. What are you doing in the FFA? Took myself to Washington, D.C. to tour the White House. And this black White House staffer comes out with an afro. He said, you, and you. Come with me. And I went with him, and there was little Jimmy Carter, President Carter, with a brown plaid jacket on. And I greeted him, and I said, my name is John Boyd. He said, do you farm? Your family farm? I told him, yes. I said, my parents farm. I said, my grandparents farm. I said, my other grandparents are sharecroppers. He said, sharecroppers. And he told me his whole life story. And he didn't talk to the other white kids. He's talking to me about how his nanny was black, who helped raise him and told him the Southern ways, and he really got a feel for black people, you know? This same staffer, his name is Ben Johnson. The day I'm out here protesting with the mule and tied it on the White House gate, the staffer comes out, and he ain't have no more afro, man, so I didn't recognize him. He said, hey, man, he said, you remember me? And I said, nah, man, I'm pissed off, and man, I'm losing my farm. I said, nah, man, I don't hear that mess you're talking about. He said, hey, man, I'm the guy that took you in to meet Jimmy Carter, man, when you was a kid. And I said, wow. So he staffed with Jimmy Carter, then he went to staff with President Bill Clinton. And I got the meeting with President Bill Clinton in the Oval Office through Ben Johnson. Be nice to your mentors because they can take you places you'll never get on your own. Be nice to your mentors. Be nice to your mentors. Ben Johnson brings me in to meet Bill Clinton. I have a FaceTime meeting with him, and Bill Clinton says, hey, I'm going to settle your complaint in federal court. I'm going to ask DOJ to do that. And that's how it happened. I met with George Bush, both George Bushes in the White House, Ronald Reagan in the White House, and me and Barack Obama became friends. Pretty good for a poor old dirt farmer and a sharecropper. And I want to tell people, that's why you can't give up, man. When people was laughing at me and going to Washington and all this stuff, I was some crazy ass black guy with a mule, man. That's all I know. His mule named Struggling 40 Acres or something. I don't know this guy. This guy's crazy. You need to be a little bit crazy to bring about systemic change, any kind of change. You have to be willing to do what other people aren't willing to do. Say, hey, you jumped in the back of that pickup truck. You came 25 miles. It's 25 miles, man, from my farm to that driveway and this driveway from the other farm. And you told your story in the back of the pickup truck, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you think other people would be willing to do that? They would have sat in the back seat of my truck where they could hear. You gotta be willing to think out the box if you want to be a leader, and you have to be willing to do things differently.
You want to go ride with John? Yeah, we might as well. Come on, we gonna ride with him. Yeah. Matter of fact, we might want to. You want to sit in the back?